Esther. Don't ask.
Yeah.
Don't know why.
What'd you figure? So what happened to your internet last night?
Oh, it was a whole neighborhood. It just literally just cut like right out, everything right out. And then I go up to the router to reboot it, comes back on. 5 minutes later, it goes back out again. So then I reboot the router, and that was that. And then today I checked Facebook. I'm into like a next door thing. And it's like, what's up with Verizon and what's up with FiOS? It was like the same thing. It was up 5 minutes, down 5 minutes, up 5 minutes. So I figured I better not go online and be on anything important because I didn't think it was going to last the night, but it did.
How fast is that? FiOS, is that how you say that?
FiOS, yeah. I have the gigabit one, so if I'm wired in, I get almost probably 800, but wireless 5 or 6, which is
nice.
With the I got a couple of Wi-Fi 6 devices, and I have a Wi-Fi 6 Orbi thing. So, I'm still hoping to get that full 1 gig on everything one day, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, well, you want up and down 1 gig, right?
I have up and down 1 gig. Yeah. I want to get it on. I'm only getting 500 or 600 megs on the wireless devices. And I know Dave Hamilton gets up to 7 or 8 on some of his. So.
Yeah, he got
our public utility is laying down fiber, so I'm just holding out. I'm on the 100 megabyte Comcast, and 5 megabyte, gigabyte up speed, slow, slow, and that's all I do is upload videos. But yeah. I've been here for
like 15 years, and I've had FiOS here almost the whole time.
Yeah.
Last night was maybe the 3rd or 4th time it's ever gone out.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah,
nice.
And my neighbors with Comcast, all the time it's going out. It's like I go to their house and sometimes like it's out, and they're like, "Oh, that's normal." The only time one of those times that mine went out is when Xfinity cut the fiber cable in my yard. So,
ours has been really stable for Comcast has been really good.
Me too.
We had a squirrel eat through our cable. That was a problem because it took 3 or 4 people to come over to the house. They were blaming it on the local college here, Hope College, which I'm like, that's not Hope College. Like we kept getting, and then finally somebody with a little bit of knowledge came and said, yeah, a squirrel ate through your cable there. So he replaced the cable and everything's all good. But like I say, our public utility is going forward with fiber. So we're going to have the same, like you, is that asynchronous, same speed up and down?
I think so.
It's
yeah.
going to be really nice.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean,
Comcast doesn't give us asynchronous. That's for sure.
No.
Comcast, I've noticed their download speeds are pretty darn good though.
The download's good. I'm getting 1 gig, on a wire, but upload, forget it.
Yeah.
Now, are you both wired throughout the house? I'm all wireless.
I'm wireless.
I got a couple wireless desk. I'm wired at this desk, but I'm wireless rest around the house.
Yeah, my Apple TV is wired. That's it.
I have a Plex. I got a Windows machine as a Plex server that's wired in. That works pretty well. But the mesh is the way to go if you're not wired.
Oh yeah. So. No, I bought a mesh. I went from an airport to a mesh, and I should have done that years ago. I was one of those people that don't understand anything. And I was adding more airport networks, which, because it was extending my network, not realizing that it cuts the speed in half every time you do that.
Pretty much. Yeah, it's like a rubber band. I did at least, I do IT consulting on the side, and at least 2 or 3 people I've replaced their airports with a mesh.
Yeah.
And, so.
All right, guys. You guys are ready to go?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's do it. I'm gonna start audio hijack as the primary here. We're recording, and this is episode 156. In 5, 4, 3, 2. Welcome to episode 156 of In Touch with iOS, a podcast that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and my co-host, Warren Sklar, is here. How you doing, Warren?
Hey, I'm good. I think I got my camera in the right spot.
Yeah, you're actually close up this week.
I'll take a picture of it, but I have like a lamp that I pushed up and mounted to the lamp. and it works.
Right.
So just
Yeah,
as long as I don't bag anything.
You're not really far away like he had been, so that's great.
Well, I tried to be.
As people are watching the video here, but of course we're listening audio here.
Yeah, I tried to be creative yesterday. It didn't work out.
Yeah, so, but I want to welcome a brand new guest to the show this week, Mr. Dan Wasink from Dan's Tutorials. Dan, thanks for being here. How are you?
Thanks for the invitation. I'm well. Yes. Thank you.
Good.
How you doing? Nice
Glad you're here, and we're going to find out a little bit about you and all the stuff you do with Apple, because you're like us, we're Apple enthusiasts, as we call it, or maybe Apple fanboys. We might think of that way, but
well, I can criticize them a little bit too.
We can too. Don't worry, we do.
we are tech fanboys.
We are tech fanboys. Yes, that's probably more fitting. But Dan's got a great tutorial site that he does all kinds of great videos called Dan's Tutorials. We're going to talk about that a little later, and you can find out a little more about that. So, but we got news of the day, and we got a couple things. Dan's kind of I don't know if you say an expert, but you're very, very well knowledgeable of Apple TV. So we're going to talk to you a little bit about some of that stuff. You actually presented to my Apple user group a couple weeks ago, so thought it only fitting we'll share that with the audience as well. So, and we'll do all kinds of other fun stuff like we always do on the show here. So let's just go jump right into the news for this week. And we talked about this story yesterday on Mac Voices Live, and I thought, it might be fitting that we talk about it here today. So this is a 9 to 5 Mac. Another person accidentally swallows an AirPod. It still works after being quote unquote retrieved. The story of another missing AirPod recently surfaced. As it turned out, this Massachusetts man is the first to have experienced quote unquote losing it this way. It's a story that says that he swallowed an AirPod while in his sleep, and how the doctor got it out. Doctor actually said that he thought it was dangerous enough that they had to actually go in, and I'm not going to go get to the gory graphics of how they went in, but let's put it this way. We didn't want it to come out the way it went in because that would not be pleasant. So they actually retrieved it, and lo and behold, it still worked. He was able to, after cleaning it, I would hope that they put some alcohol and some other things on there. After
the first thing I thought of.
Yeah,
I didn't actually read. I thought they pulled it out of his mouth. I didn't actually click the whole thing, but
I didn't. I thought they'd actually had to go in through another way to get to it, because
maybe I was picturing just what an endoscopy.
Yeah, I thought it was the mouth.
I think it's a mouth. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. Yeah, they did retrieve it from his esophagus, which is even more dangerous because if it got lodged in there, I mean, my gosh. So luckily they were able to get it out. Yeah,
it was like
I was reading
they
that.
were fishing.
Yeah. What do you think, Dan? I think what do you think, Dan? This is we always hear these crazy stories about this. Or that.
Well, I was reading it, and it's just like he couldn't swallow water, and then he goes back to bed.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't know.
He said it felt weird. He said, something like that.
Yeah.
I think,
I'm a cancer survivor, so maybe I'm a little more
Sure.
but I'd be like,
No, go ahead,
yeah,
Aaron.
Just real fast, I was just going to say, I think there's a 50% chance that this is a made up story, that he made it up and told somebody about it, because I just have a hard time believing that this happened.
We were debating that because I think 9 to 5 Mac is a pretty reputable Mac centric website.
I'm not saying the news sites
for years, but as I said, I mean, just like Ars Technica will come up with some sensationalized news story it's kind of like clickbait, and you kind of worry that this is too, because it catches someone's eyes of really, and then you kind of wonder. But I think this is pretty legit. I mean, this isn't the first time this has happened either. So, but people sleeping, and we got AirPods in right now, and I won't sleep with my AirPods. I have a sleep mask that has a speaker built into it that works great for me. So, don't use your AirPods while you sleep. I just don't recommend it. So,
it actually doesn't feel good either. It pushes too much into the.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Is I don't sleep with them, but it would be painful.
It would be painful to push too much in there, and
absolutely,
they hurt when you wear them too much anyway. So,
absolutely. Next story here is also a 9 to 5 Mac. iCloud calendar spam continues to impact users despite Apple's multiple fixes. iCloud calendar spam has been a problem for many users. Gosh, going back five years and earlier. And Apple's made a handful of changes to improve to remedy the situation. Despite their best efforts, though, the problem continues to affect iCloud users, and we're all iCloud users here, and it's again receiving widespread attention. There are multiple ways spammers and that spam calendars have been delivered over the years. They talked about it in 2016. They would receive a spam calendar and photo sharing invitation, and that would happen. So there's been lots of things going on with this, and I'm actually very surprised that Apple hasn't come up with a way to come up with a solution. They even published a YouTube video about this and saying that how to open the calendar, tap the event, and unsubscribe. That's almost like saying, "Hey, everybody, I'm a real person. Now we know who you are." What do you think, Dan? This is just such a problem.
Yeah, it's just that battle. Just don't open anything up that that you're not familiar with. It kind of just goes along that line. Just be cautious with that kind of stuff. I don't know what they could do though. I mean, what with
other than it's just annoyance and having crap in your calendar.
Yeah.
What do you think, Warren?
I remember like 5 years ago when some of my users showed me this. I'm like, no, you're crazy. You put that on your calendar when it first came out.
Right.
Because it's like you put it there. There's nothing Apple could do that will allow that to happen. And then we saw that happen. But what can they do? What the users could stay away from clicking things they shouldn't be clicking. That's how they get that's how they get that thing. I think Apple needs to, the only thing why don't they just put like a prompt saying you're about to add this to your Apple calendar?
They almost have to.
Yeah, I mean, but anytime you subscribe to a calendar, you should say you're sure. And I think that would.
Yeah, I guess I just always assumed that there was a notification saying that, or the alert box saying that you're subscribing to this, but it sounds like there isn't.
It goes right in, and that's all they have to do.
That could be what they could do is just come up with that.
Confirm
I think
it.
the article alluded to that, but yeah.
Why not?
I didn't realize how easy it was to subscribe to these.
And sometimes you'll get a link, and the legitimate ones come from a link from maybe from Outlook or from Office 365. It comes up as a link and it goes right into your calendar for Microsoft. So it's the same thing. No confirmation, you just click on.
So darn spammers, I tell you. Next story. This is in Mac Rumors. We've been talking about this previously. The iPhone 12 Mini, which there's a lot of people like that. Our friend Brian DePardo loves his iPhone Mini, who was on the show actually last week, and they're saying that of course the last stories were saying that it's experiencing very poor sales performance. At least relative to the other iPhone 12 models. But the Taiwanese research firm TrendForce today is claiming, so this is a rumor, so Mac Rumors, the production of the device has already ended. According to TrendForce, the iPhone 12 Mini reached end of life ahead of time during the second quarter of 2021, suggesting that Apple's will focus on selling through its remaining existing inventory of the device without producing any further units. And it was introduced back in October 2020. I thought it was a cool little phone, but not everybody likes those small 5.4 inch screens. It really caters to a very small audience. But it'll continue to remain on Apple's website. Again, this is a rumor, so there's no real solid thing. So what do you think, Warren? You and I both like our iPhone 12 Pro Maxes. So this is
I could barely see the big ones anymore. So I think the Apple did two things. I think they purposely put it out knowing that it may not sell well, as almost to like we'll appease you, and then now there's kind of like see nobody really wants it. And I think they could go forward if they just don't produce as many. They already have they have the equipment in place to make those molds, I guess, right? So they already have most of it in place, just put the new internals in there. But I don't know, it would be a cool little spare phone for me if I ever
so I have my spare 10R is what I use as my camera here. So
right, but that's it's a nice little powerful, and I've seen them like almost half off now price wise.
Oh wow.
Like here and there.
The 12 Mini? Or
the
10R?
No, the 12 Mini. There's I think one of like Verizon or AT&T's had something.
Oh,
where there's like
carrier.
but it
You
wasn't.
gotta
But you
deal with the
didn't.
carrier to get that discount.
Yeah, no, but it was like at Best Buy. You could activate it for and then unactivate it. You still got it. They had a
So no
trick where you could get around
contract.
it. It was a no
Wow.
contract thing for half off. Yeah,
Wow.
I could buy one of those for my things.
I
Yeah,
was
there we
tempted.
go.
I'm like, it was still like $400 something. I'm like,
Oh, nope, then I won't.
yeah,
It's too much. What do you think, Dan? I mean, this is
I-
obviously not a
I-
phone
yeah.
you like.
I was I'm with you guys. 12 Pro Max. I had the 11 Max before this. I actually bought the 12 Pro, used it for a month, returned it, and got the 12 Pro Max. I thought I'm going to go to a smaller phone, but I know one person. I think they still have the smaller phone, and to me, it's for people that just want to use it as a phone, because I think it's almost too small to use as a computing device. You'd have to have really good eyes. It's just too small, and the real estate on it, everything's going to be crunched on it. I don't think anybody would have a really a positive experience with it if they did their daily work on it.
Oh, absolutely. But like I said, my friend Brian, he'll
Right.
definitely defend that because he loves that small one. And like I
Yeah,
said,
and
there's-
same thing.
I'm-
Matt is the same way. My friend Matt, same way.
Yep.
He's the only person, and I know a lot of people with iPhones. That's the only one that I know.
Absolutely. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. That we've been talking about this, and we'll see where it goes. Speaking of another bug, this is a Mac Rumors iOS bug causes specific network name to disable Wi-Fi on iPhones. A wireless network naming bug has been discovered in iOS that effectively disables the iPhone's ability to connect to Wi-Fi. Security researcher found that after joining a Wi-Fi network named, there's a bunch of characters. I mean, there's your first red flag. Why are you connecting to a network that has no name to it? His iPhone's Wi-Fi functionality was left permanently disabled. Changing a hotspot's SSD did nothing to correct the problem. Even a rebooting failed to make a difference, according to Bleeping Computer. Other users were able to replicate the issue and have suggested that the bug could have been related to the initial use in the network name percentage sign, which leads to an input parsing issue whereby iOS mistakenly interprets the letters following the percent as a string format specifier. So, this is interesting. I mean, first off, hello, don't connect to a network that doesn't have a clear name. What do you think, Dan? This is
I would agree, but it's nice that people find these. It shouldn't be there, and it's a bug. But yes, absolutely, don't connect to anything. It's like we were talking about earlier. Don't open up a calendar invite that looks suspicious. Don't open up mail,
right?
A document that and don't connect to a website that you're not familiar with. Let's just say. So,
with Warren and I both being IT professionals, it's not something we tend to recommend that you connect to a Wi-Fi. What do you think?
Connect to whatever. Well, I'll connect to anything.
You would do it because you live on the edge, the beta edge.
Well, I mean, who hasn't joined a network here and there? I think this guy was doing it maybe purposely to discover something, but and something else Apple did with a text, right? A couple of years ago, they got a message, a text message, it froze up or something. So that happened. And you didn't mention that could be fixed by doing it.
It's fixable by doing the reset the network settings, right? Yeah. It is fixable. And Android phones didn't seem to be affected by this. So that's interesting. So the code is really someone who's playing a little game to just make misery out of our use of our iPhones here.
There was an intern at the Wi-Fi portion of Apple that said this would be fun.
Yeah. And then another story of Mac Rumors, and not surprisingly here, the list keeps getting longer and longer. The Fox Now app is no longer supported on the third generation Apple TV. So the Fox Now app has been removed, has removed support from the third generation Apple TV, with the app now only compatible with the fourth gen and higher of the Apple TV's set-top box. No surprise. And existing installs on the third gen will no longer work. So if it's there, you try to launch it and it won't work. It will no longer work. YouTube is gone. A lot of others are gone. I think everybody has, to all intents and purposes. It's just like I seem to remember someone posted on Mac to the Future about the first gen Apple TV, asking, is it could I do anything with this? And yeah, it's basically a paperweight. Dan, what do you think? I think the third generation is.
I mean,
history.
that's progress.
Sure.
I think that there's a couple of things like YouTube changed some of their stuff, which couldn't, the old Apple TV couldn't handle it, and same thing with the Fox now. But unfortunately, on the surface, the Apple TVs they haven't changed. So to someone, it's like, why is this no longer working? Although on the back end, as you guys know, in IT, there's a lot of changes that happen on the back end. So, on the surface, it's unfortunate. It could cause some frustration with people not fully understanding what's going on, but
yeah, absolutely. What do you think, Warren?
They're renaming it the Fox Not Now app.
Not now.
It doesn't delete it off of the Apple TV, does it? I thought I saw in a comment that somebody said it deletes it off of the Apple TV.
It must, after, like, maybe probably sending the signal through, because that's how those apps.
Yeah,
that's how those
actually
apps,
delete. They can actually delete apps off the Apple TV. Sounds like.
I thought so. I think that's how the third gen and older were always working. Even the second gen was like that too, because we had no control over the apps like we did when the fourth gen came out. So, all right, and then speaking of YouTube, and this has always been a pain point of being able to do picture-in-picture with YouTube on iOS. It's now coming to all US users. Hallelujah. You don't have to be a paid premium subscriber, which I am, so it didn't affect me. But so after a long wait, YouTube for iOS is officially gaining picture-in-picture support, allowing all users, non-premium and premium subscribers, to close the YouTube app and to continue watching their video in a small pop-up window. What a concept. And they gave actually a statement to Mac Rumors. YouTube said that the picture-in-picture is currently rolling out to all premium subscribers on iOS, which it already was, and a larger rollout to all US iOS users that will take place soon, which is good news. And you have an app pick for YouTube in a little bit there, Dan, so you obviously are a big YouTube guy. What do you think of this?
Well, I'm not a premium subscriber, but I mean, YouTube user. There's just a lot of stuff there. And this is one of those finally. I'm not a big fan of finally. That seems to be the catchword for titles and link baits and all that. But this is one of those that deserve it. Finally, yes, absolutely.
And what do you think, Warren? That this is good news?
Yeah, it was actually the only reason I was considering going Google Premium at one point, is because it annoyed the hell out of me. So I'm excited for it.
I opted to. I like being a premium YouTube subscriber because I just can't stand the ads, and it's such a pleasant experience. And the YouTube Premium not only includes the eliminating all the ads, but you also get YouTube Music, and I also have Apple Music and access to that as well. So I get big, very large catalogs between two services, but I don't mind it. It's not too terribly expensive, and more so because I like the no commercial experience. So, and then Shazam, which of course Apple purchased a while ago. The music discovery service has now surpassed 1 billion Shazams per month. The popular Apple-owned music discovery app service Shazam is celebrating a new milestone today. This was a couple of days ago, surpassing more than 1 billion Shazams per month and a total of 50 billion tags since the app was first launched. And I remember Shazam having that. That was one of the first apps I ever put on my iPhone. Was that, and that's good news. And they really have done a really good job of integrating it into the Apple, into iOS. You can now have it as part of in the control center, so you can actually listen to a song just tapping it instead of having to launch an app and do it. So they've really done some really good integrations with Shazam. Do you use Shazam, Dan? Do you like it?
I do a little bit. I'm a Spotify user. I do have a subscription to Apple Music as well, but my car is Spotify, so I can't use Apple Music in there. But I actually when I did use it more extensively, I had better luck with SoundCloud.
Okay.
But what I did read an article recently that said one of the reasons that Apple bought Shazam was not necessarily for the music, but for the AI,
right.
And they're going to start putting it to other areas. And one of the things that they introduced at WWDC was the Shazam Cloud Kit or something like that.
Shazam Kit. I was going to mention that. That isn't mentioned in the article.
Yeah. So they're expanding, what it's going. So it must be really pretty good. But like I say, I don't use it too often. So
do you use it all, Warren? Do you use it all?
No, my brain is better.
You're good. You're good at you know songs.
I know music.
Name that tune. I can name that tune in 3 notes.
I watched a game show. You ever watched the Beat Shazam game show? I watched it a few times. I'm like, I could be on this. I should be on this.
Yeah, I would say I'm like Warren. I know my music pretty good. So when I hear something,
I do too. But there's sometimes
sometimes
there might be something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's what's great about what Apple has done since the last announcement from DubDub is the fact that they're doing a lot more third-party APIs with their services, and this is one of them. And it's really great to see. I'm going to be interested to see what developers come up with by utilizing the technology, and maybe they come up with something different that Apple can't really do with Shazam just alone. So, but it's good stuff. This was kind of a sad story. I kind of wanted to put this out. This is actually a link to this site, App Shopper. App Shopper was around for quite a long time. Gave you opportunities being able to buy apps and it aggregated places for apps, finding out about apps, and there was a lot of fun things about this. And they were around since 2008, so they've been around for quite a long time. Well, they decided to close up shop as of June 30th. Which will be actually only 7 days from as we record this. So it's kind of sad to see another service kind of disappear here. This was their blog post, so we have a link into the show notes on this as far as the news goes. But Apple's really come a long way since the service came out with apps, and then they're doing a lot better job in the App Store and aggregation and stuff. Warren, did you ever use this service?
Oh yeah, back in the day. Thinking about it, I don't even know how they were self-funding themselves.
Yeah,
so how they make money.
I wondered that too.
Was it a free? I mean, I don't remember paying anything for it. It was. I don't remember ads. I don't remember ads back in the early 2010s. I don't.
They did it through referral. Apple paid them.
That's how they made their money. Is that true? Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and then Apple stopped that. I'm actually surprised that they're still around today because that was happened several years ago. So.
Yeah, so they were trying to be sustainable, and
there was a few like that. Was it like an App Annie or something? I
think that was still around.
Is it there was a few that just kind of ranked the apps for you,
which I like because you can find more about apps, more as an aggregator, finding going to a place that you can find about an app. But the App Store has done a much better job. I mean, it still has room for improvement, but
it was it was the Wild West. I mean, when those came out, the App Store was a Wild West. You would get things that were like farts and fart noises and crazy stuff, but then like all of a sudden like a really life-changing app, but all of a sudden the next thing would be like a real life-changing kind of like app that's still around, and it's not really like that anymore because again, nobody's coming out with a new killer app that how it was back then, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, back in those days, the fart apps were just like the thing. I mean, but funny enough that Amazon Echo, people love writing skills for that, and they come up with a skill to provide flatulence for you to. You just say the word fart, and there you go. It toots away, and Apple and I think the App Store itself just kind of. I mean, some of these app developers who had apps that were out there, they obviously did some pretty decent money. They would have packs that you could download of the different sounds and stuff, which was crazy. But interesting. It's kind of sad to see like this kind of legacy stuff.
We could have an episode on my App Store thoughts because I had apps almost from day one. On the Mac, I did have it from day one when it was introduced. I had apps in the App Store. And so I've kind of been in the Wild West, as you said, Warren. I was there, man, that was fun. And I tell people at that time, you're like in the little boutique aisle at a mall, somebody comes up and there's 10 products, now you're in a, super Walmart and, it's just hard and this is what I think App Shopper and those stores were helpful in is they were the catalog. You still had to buy it you still have to buy stuff from Walmart, but they were the ones that kind of showed you different things, and discoverability in the App Store is Apple's weak spot. And these companies closing like App Shopper is I think is actually harmful to the consumer, and to developers.
It is,
because it's
you said you had
so hard to find something.
You said you had an app store. You had apps in this app store?
Yeah,
or
I still do. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
they were tutorials and Apple's infinite wisdom. They have decided that they no longer want to have tutorials on Apple hardware and software in the App Store. So it's an unwritten guideline.
Gotcha.
So we, myself and competitors, we can sneak them in every once in a while, but it's just not.
It's not worth it.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. Not worth it.
Yeah, I hear you. So RIP app shopper. That's coming very soon here. Next story. This is about the OneDrive, actually, a Microsoft tool that's actually becoming, I think, more and more popular as well as powerful. They're doing a lot more, adding a lot more improved features on it. OneDrive is now for the web is now going to gain image editing tools, and it's soon going to come to the iOS app, which I think is pretty slick. With me working in the enterprise, I think that's always been the challenge to being able to, for someone, because in the enterprise they want to keep your iPhones protected, within security, and they do, and most companies do allow to you be able to go into OneDrive and actually upload a photo that you had already taken on iPhone and move it over to OneDrive. But OneDrive never really had any other tools that were there. So OneDrive users are going to be can now edit pictures after they're uploaded to the cloud storage service, thanks to the addition of basic photo editing software that was announced this week as we record by Microsoft. And it's similar to the tools that were found in Google Photos. The new features include standard cropping, that's which pretty much a lot of people want, options, as well as built-in presets for images to be used on social media, as well as flipping and 90-degree incremental rotation. And that's really all people want to do these days. They're on social media. They want to be able to upload a photo and have real quick, simple ways to be able to edit. And I always struggled with that because you go to these tools and you'd have to spend through a lot of time with this. And I have a OneDrive account for personally as well as for business, and I find it to be becoming more and more robust, which is really nice. What do you think, Dan?
Yeah, it's interesting to see that they're adding this outside of a quote unquote app kind of. I still think of OneDrive as a folder. So when you go in there now, you're going to be able to do this manipulation without actually opening up a Photos app or whatever Microsoft's version of that would be. So I find that interesting, and exactly like you said, for the basic stuff, it's I think it's great. And
it's stored in cloud, and then you can share it with anybody.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Warren?
Just one more thing to have to train the users to do.
I'll be doing a training class on OneDrive for work here. I think I believe on Friday, so that'll be something I will mention that you're going to be gaining and giving them even more of a incentive to. This is much easier to do than me emailing it to myself.
They could barely use it as it is now. I mean, the more things they start adding to it, the worse it's going to get.
Yeah, it all depends on how they handle the interface. That's going to be the key.
That is true. That is true. And then last story, this just actually came out today as we record this, and Warren will be talking about his AirTags. This is continuing saga. Apple released a revised AirTag firmware update. Today, they released a new version of the AirTag firmware, which, of course, just like AirPods, you don't even know it updates. It just happens. And basically, I think it was just a revision to the update that was actually made available earlier in June. The build number is now 1A287B, which the old firmware had a build of 1A276D. That first firmware had come out adding a anti-stalking security enhancements. So we're thinking that the version that this came out today is just doing some refining of the features of the anti-stalking. So what do you think, Dan? You have AirTags?
I do. I have. I bought a 4-pack. I'm using 3 of them. I didn't buy them right away because I wasn't sure exactly how I'm going to use them. But a short little story here. We have a Chevy Volt, and my wife. I don't know where my key is because I don't drive it. I have a different car, and I don't carry keys with me. So she has her key. and she always loses it. I'm like, oh, so we got the AirTag. I attached to the thing. She has an older phone, so it's on my phone, the AirTag, kind of thing. And it's like, oh, this is really, really not kind of nice. So she goes grocery shopping about 4 days ago, and at a local Meijer. I think they have Meijer in Illinois.
We have Myers
now.
too. Yep.
So
Long time.
she goes, and she was there for like 2 hours, and so I stalk her, kind of.
Yeah,
thing.
I was just gonna bring that up. I was gonna say this is a great
No,
way
I
to,
was like,
to
what
stalk
is
your wife.
going
Wife.
on here?
Yeah,
What
this
is she doing?
This is how you
Her
got the
phone-
AirTag on her.
Her phone is dead.
Ah,
So, but I was able to see that she was still at Meijer because of the AirTags.
it's bad.
So it worked. So. Yeah,
So-
we have a good group of core friends where we call it stalking, but I can my family, and then we also have probably half a dozen friends, and we can always see where everyone is.
Oh,
we
no.
like to go out and have our beer here.
Hell's
and
to the
there,
no. Hell's to the no.
So.
I don't want anybody knowing where I am except for me.
What do you think, Warren?
About the update.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that was a good lead in. Actually, I moved the story up here. Is your continuing saga? If Dan may not know, is Warren was using his AirTag for his dog, and his dog was able to get to it and bite it. Oh, two dogs. Well, one
Right.
dog was able to bite it and destroyed it. But go ahead if you want to share the story again. As far as what's continuing on since you shared it last, that you got Apple to replace it.
Right. So I got the two dogs. I bought the 4-pack. One I kept for like me to put in my bag, one I gave for my mom for her dog, and the other two I put on my dog. And I bought, of course I had to buy the Apple leather keyring holder because why not? And so I put it on there, and the puppy, which we got for COVID, found a way. I didn't notice, but she found a way to chew on that tag to get to it. So she was chewing on it. And I noticed that her tag did not update as much as the other ones. So I figured I'm going to take it off and see what's wrong with it. Took it off, the thing was all chewed up, but it still, beeped, and everything was kind of, everything. The inside was fine. It's just the outside. So I decided I was going to unpair it and repair it to see if that fixed the lag. And long story short is it wouldn't repair. In the Apple, you could factory reset it. You could take the battery out a few times. And it just never worked. So I called Apple after going to the store. I called them. They told me to call them. They're going to ship me a new one. I got to ship the other one back. So the question is whether they're going to keep the $30 deposit I put down when they get the chewed up one, or if they don't. So we'll see.
And you'll report back to let us know.
Well, it's in the mail. I should get the new one tomorrow, and I'll send the other one back. We'll see what
It is what it is. Hey, $30 worth giving it a shot.
Yeah, exactly.
So because we have a brand new guest this week, we always do this on the show here when we have a new guest. So we want to find out a little bit more about them in relation to what makes them tick with Apple stuff. And you said earlier, Dan, you have an iPhone 12 Pro Max. Is that that's your daily driver, and you're enjoying it? You're enjoying that like we are?
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
We do. We both do.
Yeah, I'm a hobbyist photographer. And I have 3 mirrorless cameras, Panasonic Lumix, and I can't tell you how many lenses, thousands of dollars in lenses. And
like a DSLR sitting in the closet.
Yeah, they're sitting right, 6 feet away from me, and I think I haven't pulled them out in about 2 years.
Same.
Just the iPhone is just phenomenal. Now I have bought it since then. I bought it like a 360 camera. I have a camera problem, against a 360, and
I think we all have technology buying problems. So.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
We'll get him together with Guy, and they could compare pictures.
Our friend Guy Searle has a problem with microphones. He must have 300 microphones, and I'm not exaggerating.
Buys one a week.
He buys at least one a week. When he finds a new one that pops up in the Facebook feed, he's buying it. So, you have an iPad, I assume, too?
Yep, I have an iPad Pro, the 12-inch, not the latest one, but the version before that with the keyboard. An iPad Air, which is what I do my recordings on, an iPhone 11, and I got a stack of iPhones, the older ones that My wife is on a MacBook Pro. I have an iMac in the kitchen. I have a MacBook Pro 16-inch connected to my favorite Thunderbolt display. I love this thing. I know it's not Retina. I know people, but this thing's just the greatest.
Is it an Apple one or
Apple Thunderbolt? Yep.
I'm doing the old one too, the one from 2016. Yeah, the one they just deemed obsolete.
Yeah. What's nice about it for my videos that I record, being that it's non-Retina, I started recording on my I had an iMac as well, and I returned it and went back to a laptop. I'm a laptop fan, and the Retina, my files were huge, and I just didn't need that for what I was doing, So I pulled out returned it, got a 16-inch MacBook Pro, pulled out the Thunderbolt, and it's just like, oh yeah, now this is manageable, and it looks good. I mean, I didn't need to have that.
I hope it lasts. The only thing that really I think goes on them is the cables. And sometimes they start getting, mine's been starting to get a little flaky. I got the Thunderbolt 3 to Thunderbolt 2 adapter. It's plugged into my my OWC Thunderbolt dock. So
Apple TV, plasma TV. I love my plasma TV.
That's right. You're a plasma guy.
I'm a plasma
guy. You're holding on to dear life.
Wow.
I used the the iPhone with the new Apple TV. You can calibrate your TVs, which I recommend everyone do, because LCDs are just not. Plasmas are better. And
they're no longer around.
I know. Just and I didn't have to calibrate my TV because it was dead on. My house, we have a small house. It's filled with Sonos. I have 2 subwoofers, and I can't tell you, probably 12 different Sonos speakers, and it's maybe 1,100 square feet.
Nice. You got an Apple Watch, I assume.
Apple Watch. Yep.
There you go. And then of course you always have a lot of Apple TVs, or do you have just a couple?
I actually just have the one. No, I do have a couple, but yeah,
just the one.
Just the one that I use.
So that's great. So you have a lot of gear like we do, and Warren always trades in his laptop probably every other month, but
when they come out with a better one. Every time they come out with a better one, I want the better one.
He's itching for the M1 MacBook Pro 16 inch.
Same here. I'll be right in line with you, Warren. Yep.
We got.
I got the M1 Air and the M1 Mini. So
yeah, I've got 2 M1 Minis. So. Yeah. Very cool. Well, again, really glad you're here, and we'll talk about your stuff in a little bit here. But let's move on and talk a little bit about beta, because as you don't know, Dan, Warren lives on the cutting edge of beta, so he installs beta on.
I get very excited by the betas.
He gets very extremely excited, and this is not just the side device. This is his primary
nice
daily drivers on all his devices.
On your watch too.
Watch too.
Whoa!
So, yes, he's
living on the edge.
Yes.
You only live once, and it's exciting, and I like to see the new stuff. And it's been a long time since I regret doing it. There was one year where it was bad, and my watch wouldn't work and all that. So, but it's been fine for the last at least 3 or 4 years, for the most part. And I usually
says, just do it.
I have it on my iPad, but my iPad is not something I use on a daily basis. Well, yeah, I do use it, but not for production or not.
When you're when you're good enough, you'll find alternatives for things that don't work. One year the phone wouldn't make phone calls for a little bit. That was a problem. Right now, Salesforce doesn't open. That's the one thing I use at work. That's kind of a pain.
That's a problem.
Mm-hmm. It's a problem, but I borrowed another old iPod Touch or iPhone and just put Salesforce in that, put it in my bag. So there's ways around it, is what I'm saying. And I haven't obviously I'm chomping at a bit waiting for the next beta. It's been 2 weeks, so I don't know what kind of schedule there could be on here.
I was hoping it was. I'm almost ready to install it on my phone, but I need beta 2 or beta 3.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was going to be today or yesterday, but maybe tomorrow. Yeah. It's been 16 days.
It's over 2 weeks since dub. So, but the thing is, 14.7 beta 3 is still out there and has not been released out to to the public as of yet. So I'm anticipating any time now. I would think that 14.7 will finally be released. I would think they would do that first and get that off the books, because then they can focus 100% on iOS 15 and just let the incrementals come out if there's any bugs found in 14.7. So be interesting to see where that goes. But yeah, I mean, like you said, beta 1 is out. It's been about 2 weeks now, and the public beta. So people who want to be able to do beta testing and really want to live on the edge and don't want a developer account like we all have, you can anticipate that's probably going to get released. Who knows? They might even wait until the public beta comes out before beta 2 comes out too. That's very possible. Hard to say. So, Dan, anything so far? Have you been using iOS 15 on any device so far? Have you had a chance to play with it at all? Or
me, I have it on my iPad.
Just the iPad. Okay,
yep, just the iPad. And I love the multitasking. Even to me, the gestures haven't changed too much, but being that they're gestures, you forget how to do it unless, it's muscle memory. And if you don't do it on a regular basis, you're not going to know it. And you can't expect new people to know that. So the 3 dots at the top, to me, that is, I absolutely love that. And I think multitasking is going to be far better now because
Absolutely.
It's going to be front and center. Safari, I'm curious, with Warren using the betas, I'm not sold on Safari yet. Now it's in beta.
A lot of people are complaining.
It's if you don't know where to look, it's I'm not sure if I like the floating address bar in the bottom. I think that's what people are complaining about for the most part. Because your eyes don't go down there and it takes a while to even know what you're looking at. I mean, I don't use Safari on my phone usually anyways. I use Edge on my phone. I've been liking it. And I also use Edge on my Mac. So it doesn't bother me too much.
So Dan, you wanted to talk a little bit about multitasking as one of our topics for this week, as we've led into the topics. I've always had a little bit of a challenge, and I have to spend more time with it, getting multitasking to work the way I want it to work. And you said you've done some tutorials about this as well as
I do on the old. I have tutorials on how it works in iOS 14, but not on
iPadOS 14, right?
Yeah, not on the new version yet.
Okay.
So, and I think that, if you don't use it every day, you're not going to remember that. And what's nice about the iPad, with at least iPadOS 15, is it kind of works along the same line as the Mac. If anyone's ever done the split screen on the Mac, when you invoke split screen, it kind of puts it to the side, and then you choose your other app, and then the other app comes up next to it. Well, on the iPad, it works basically the same way. You tap on the 3 dots, you want to do split screen, it moves that app out of the way. You go and choose your other app that you want, and then it puts both of them up there side by side. So it's very, if you do it on the Mac, you're going to see it's very comfortable on the iPad. But also on the flip side, if you do it on the iPad, maybe you might start using it on the Mac as well, because it does work the same way. So it could be a reciprocal kind of thing. But I would still love to have floating windows where you can move them around. Maybe that'll be in the next year or the year after. I tell people my favorite analogy would be the iPad is last year it was into college, still trying to figure out where it wants to go in life, kind of thing. It kind of knows where it's going, but not really where it's going to settle down. And I think we're starting to see where it's going to start settling down. Maybe next year it'll graduate from college and it can stand on its own, kind of thing. Yeah. But
absolutely.
That's the way that I describe it to people. It's good.
Okay.
But
and I agree with them. But as far as Safari goes, I'm not sold. Our friend Jeff Gammett was talking about that yesterday. Just like, he pretty much says, I hate the new Safari, and he's just not happy with it's just the way it's laid out. That not only on iOS and iPadOS, but on the Mac as well. That they've really made some drastic changes to it. And I've always been a Firefox and Edge user on the Mac, and I tend to use Safari on iOS for the most part. But yeah, I agree with Warren with you that your comment about the floating bar is going to get a little bit getting used to, because that's
Mhm.
quite a bit different than what a lot of people are used to on that. So
The problem is going to be with that iCloud Plus that they introduced only
Right.
works
We
with
talked about that.
Safari. So if
With
you want to
Safari.
if you want to take advantage of Apple's privacy thing, you got to use their browser.
It's going to be the Safari is going to be the new Onion Tor browser
Yeah.
that everybody's going to use. They're going to have their VPN. They're going to have their Safari
I'm
browser.
I'm hoping
go to the deep
hoping
web.
they it's early in the beta. Please, Apple, listen Apple.
Yeah. And then the next topic I want to talk about briefly here is this was actually an article in 9 to 5 Mac about side loading third-party apps and giving. There have been a lot of discussion about this. About a lot of companies want to do third-party app stores and be able to sideload. And in Apple's view, this was published today as we record this. It's undermining iPhone security. Well, I found this interesting that Apple actually published a paper on this, and I was very, very impressed to see that they put this together and actually given a lot of history. And the document says that building a trusted ecosystem for millions of apps and the important role of the App Store and its protections. And I'm a big believer that I think Apple is doing a very good job of keeping things secure, protecting us, because as we know, the Android store is quite the Google Play Store is quite a wild west of apps that are out there. So I was interested to see that Apple actually took the time to actually write up an article. It's more or less a white paper on this subject and giving you its reasoning why they don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen. And Dan, you've created apps before, and you've had them in the App Store. What do you think of this? I think this is something that we really got to think twice about if you're going to allow it to happen.
I think if you follow, have you heard of Marco Arment, the developer? Mm-hmm. So I agree with a lot of what he says with the App Store. It's broken in my mind. But they have some things in place that they could, open up APIs for, the review process. And there are certain things, sandboxing and all that can stay in play. But I think they could offer, side loading or, other things. The problem with being all Apple is their search is not great in it. Also, what I think what they should do is have a local app. So I want to find an app for a restaurant that's in Holland here. I should be able to search within a local radius, but with no competition, they're not going to strive to make the App Store better. So, by offering other app stores, it can kind of pushes Apple to do a better job. And right now they don't have to do a better job. So yeah, I think they could I think they could still make apps safe, but still offer some kind of a better arrangement with the developers,
Yeah, I agree. What do you think, Warren, on this subject?
People think the worst with the side loading, and they're like, what they're going to install, viruses, but malware, things that could access your information that it bypasses Apple's security. And I said it before is, if they ever did anything like that, it's going to be completely sandboxed. They're going to change the OS where it's completely sandboxed from maybe lots of your data on your phone, or maybe all your data on your phone, where that app will just run independent of the operating system, where Apple could, they're not going to want to, tarnish the operating system, reputation. So they'll just have a thing that says, well, you're in a different mode. If something bad happens and, it wasn't the operating system, it was the app, because you're running in quote developer mode or whatever they want to call it. Just because if they can't just open it up the way it is, because the iPhone just has too much information on it.
Right.
So they really have to put a firewall between the phone security and the phone's information and whatever doesn't come from the App Store. If they could find a way to maybe have legitimate app stores out there that, form or maybe the existing ones that could come on and Apple could work with, then maybe that. But I don't think they'll ever just allow side loading at all. They might, allow other app stores in, but I don't think they're going to say you can side load something
It
off.
could be something along the line of, the app shopper, like we talked about earlier,
Right.
through some kind of, they can aggregate, I could build an app store for businesses here in Holland. And
Yeah.
somebody could go to that and then it connects up to, things like that. So it's not
Yeah.
a full app store.
Well, Android does that too. Like Android has, you could get apps on Amazon on Android. It's
Right.
the Amazon App Store basically. That's on the platform,
Right.
and it's a legitimate source, and it's downloading directly from Amazon. So, something like that, I think, and exactly, the App Shopper could be an app that will host the apps, and Apple could. So, does Apple have to approve it? Apple has to trust whoever is going to approve.
I would
these
say
apps.
Apple still
Right.
has to host the app, just like what they're doing now. And so let's go through Apple's review process, but they have to take the subjective stuff out. Like, I'm biased, but I think my tutorials should be allowed in the App Store. There's no harm.
I agree.
I have thousands of people that love them, not to brag about my stuff here, and that isn't why I'm here, but truly people love what I do. And, Apple just decides no, because they want to control the information that goes, so they could still have the approval process and all that, but these other stores through an API or something could aggregate it for different things. You could
Right,
have
but
an
they-
app store for business stuff, an app store for this. And
But if Apple's still reviewing it, then you have the problem of the cut of the 30% that everyone's complaining about.
yeah, no.
So
Yeah.
if they didn't have that 30% in there, then nobody's going to be clamoring for an app store, a new app
Right.
store, because that's the biggest complaint is the developers or.
Well,
Yes,
App
so they have
Shopper
to do
was
that.
getting like 2 or 3% out of every, and it was just a referral. Maybe it was 5%. They weren't making, a lot of money, but Apple cut the 30% down to 15% for businesses under $1 million.
Yep.
So yeah, it takes a cut out of Apple, but
Yeah,
I think
sure
it would
does.
make the App Store stronger. But yeah.
Well, we'll definitely see where it goes, and third-party apps and the offloading and side loading. Who knows with the stuff that's been going on in Congress with the forcing Apple to you can't install your apps when you get a new device and all that crazy stuff. It's just going to get crazier and crazier. So we'll see where it goes. We're getting close to the end of the show here, but I want to make sure we talk about Dan's tutorials, as well as I want you to talk a little bit, and we've got a link in the show notes to this great tutorial you did on the Apple TV Control Center. That you did a great presentation for us again at the Suburban Chicago Apple Users. Tell us a little bit about the App Store App Control Center. I think the App Control Center is they've really come a long way this in tvOS with Apple TV. And if you want to get briefly with tell people about it, and like I said, we'll have a link in the show notes to be able to have people take a look at that too. So
yeah, what it is, and it's kind of funny. So I did the presentation for your group, and I didn't have a lesson on my site for this control center because I never used it. So I went and created one, and now it's on the site. But
see, you're a magician.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's kind of hidden. You have to hold the TV button down for a few seconds, and then it kind of comes out. But what it does is it gives you access, much like the control center on the Mac and the iPad and the iPhone, different controls. One of them being multi-user. So, people probably don't realize that the Apple can support multiple users. So I can have coming up, up next for me, and then my wife can log in or switch using the control center. And then it's going to have, whatever is up next for her, kind of thing. So you can kind of cater. And if you have children, you can add restrictions to the children, account, and it's all done through the control center. You have AirPods, as both of you are wearing them. Through the control center, you can tell the Apple TV to tunnel the sound to your AirPods, all done through the control center. You can access your HomeKit accessories, your favorite scenes, through that, through that control center. So it's kind of nice that it gives you access to these different controls, and it's really easy to access. You can access it from any app. And all you have to do is just hold down the TV button on the remote for a few seconds, and it'll slide out from the right, and you have all of your controls. So it's something that I didn't even realize. It's just I did some research for your presentation, and I'm like, ooh, I didn't know it did this.
Well, we inspired you.
Yeah, exactly.
Check out this lesson. We're going to talk about dance tutorials just one moment. I want to make sure we hit these two apps that we both have here for this week. Go ahead, Dan. You could tell us about the YouTube ads auto skipper app that you included.
This is an extension because I don't, as we said earlier, I don't subscribe to YouTube. And much like Lauren was talking about, the ads are annoying. Now, unfortunately, I'm gonna preface this. It doesn't work on M1s yet because the developer does not have an M1. So anybody that has an M1, as far as I know, it doesn't work yet. But he will obviously put it out there as soon as he gets one. But essentially what it does, it's an extension for 99 cents. You get it from the Mac App Store. And hopefully what he'll be able to do is put it on the iPad and the iPhone as well, eventually. What it does is when you hit one of those ads on YouTube, it mutes it. So you don't hear anything. And then the ads where you have the 5-second and then you can click on it to skip it, it automatically skips it. So basically what you are able to do is just kind of sit back and watch YouTube videos, and it will skip through the videos for you automatically. It mutes them as soon as it hits one and then skips it.
Worth that 99 cents.
Yeah, it's the best 99 cents I've ever bought. But like I say, if you have an M1, for anybody that's out there, on the reviews, he said that he doesn't have an M1. So, but I'm assuming as soon as he gets one, he'll do it. So.
Yeah, it's probably going to be Intel when you install it.
So if you're on an Intel, 99 cents App Store.
Great. My app this week is actually, I linked to a story about NetNewsWire. NetNewsWire is probably one of the de facto RSS readers, and I use a lot of news aggregators. That's what I use. I use News Explorers is the one I use through that, which is available through SetApp on both Mac and iOS. But NetNewsWire has finally added some really good features to being able to sync things to iCloud, which was finally, they hadn't been able to do that. You also can integrate with Twitter and Reddit if you want to get more granular as far as some of the news stories, which I really like. I want to start doing more of that because you tend to find a lot more stories on Twitter than our standard defaults. Like what I do is looking at Mac Rumors and 9to5Mac and Mac Observer and so on and so on. And it's a great app and it's free, which is just pretty amazing that they did charge for a while years back. And then of course it kind of went on the wayside for a few years, but then the developer decided to bring it back, and it's available on iPhone and iPad. And it's great. Check it out, and we got a link in the show notes for that as well. So, but that is the two apps we have. Let me go ahead and wrap things up here, and we'll bring this show to a close here. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Twitter @intouchwithios. You can subscribe in your favorite podcatcher, including Apple Podcasts and many others. But better yet, go to our website at intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are there. I am Dave Ginsburg, and you can find me on Twitter @DaveG65. I saved it to the end, Dan. Dan Rossink, thank you so much for being here.
Yes,
give you opportunity to tell everybody about Dan's tutorials and what they can do to check out what all these great. Oh, you have over 2,000 tutorials. That is pretty amazing.
I've created over 2,000 lessons. Basically, what happened is I was working at Apple, and I'll give you the real short story here. Working at Apple,
okay. I left you some time.
And Apple came out with the App Store, and I started tinkering around. I know enough to be dangerous. Created an app, a pizza calculator, and then the tutorials. I threw out a couple travel apps, and the tutorials really kind of stuck. I have a knack for helping people with that. Maybe it's a little bit of the Apple training, whatever. So I've been creating these tutorials for over 10 years now, and Apple stopped approving apps for their own I'll start over. Apple, I started putting stuff online because I saw the writing on the wall. Apple was not approving my stuff anymore, and it's not even me; it's other my competitors as well.
Other content providers.
Yep. You do not find, it's hard to find the tutorials, and not like it was back in the Wild West. So anyway, I created a site, and it was Noteboom Tutorials, my wife's maiden name, and at that time, the thinking was, big company, but it's just me. But, you have to put yourself as a big company, kind of thing. So Noteboom Productions, and I have my Noteboom Tutorials. And I thought, you know what, I was redesigning the site, and everybody knows me as Dan. I answer emails personally. I am a one-man operation. And I thought, Dan's Tutorials, I'm just going to rebrand as Dan's Tutorials. So some of, I don't know if you're if any of your listeners know Noteboom Tutorials, it's now Dan. And if you look under the App Store, you go to Noteboom Tutorials, or Noteboom Productions. Those are my tutorials. But so Dan's Tutorials is my site. I offer lessons on the Mac, the iPad, the iPhone, Apple TV, and Apple Watch. And I put out usually one or two on a daily basis. New lessons, they're categorized by software. So if you want to learn about numbers, you go to the numbers tutorial, and then I have it divided by device. So you could look at numbers for the Mac, numbers for the iPad, numbers for the iPhone. And I started doing, through the pandemic, these AMAs, Ask Me Anything webinars, getting myself comfortable on Zoom and all that. So I've been doing that over a year. I do that every 2 weeks. And last month I started doing online classes for my members. So this is all,
that's awesome.
My lessons are free. Anybody can go and view my lessons.
Oh, that's great.
When you join the site, you're supporting small business. The site keeps track of what lessons you've taken. You can add notes to a lesson. You can resume your last lesson. You can attend any of the online classes. You can attend any of the webinars. So, you do get more when you become a member. But
Great.
Anybody can go and view the sites. And I have a couple other things up my sleeve that I might introduce next month. So
awesome. And so anybody can go to danstutorials.com and you can view the lessons. And
you
if
can
you
view
decide
the
to
lessons.
join,
Yep.
Tell if you decide to sign up, tell them that you heard it first on In Touch with iOS, and you won't regret it, because I've been a member too, and then he's got some great stuff out there. So check it out. Really appreciate it.
I'm looking at it now. You got a lot of stuff out there.
Yeah, he's really good at it. So, and Warren, go ahead. You can thank, as we always do. You of course, you're on Mac to the Future on Facebook.
Yes.
Nothing going on there, and
people asking good questions, people talking about tech and being silly, and that's what we do. So that's a fun group. If you do the Facebook thing, a lot of people are against Facebook, but so be it. Anyways, thanks, Dan, for it was nice meeting you. Definitely.
Yes. Well, thanks for inviting me. So
absolutely, glad you could be here, Dan. And thanks, Warren, for you being here as well. And thanks for everybody for listening. I hope you enjoyed the show, and we'll talk again soon. All right, guys.
All right.
We gotta do the song.
How's my debut?
It was good.
You were great, Dan. No, I knew you'd be fine. You were good at it. No worries.